Bag of Chips, the salty and tasty game. This is a very simple, very light filler. It comes in a container that looks like a bag of chips, and yes, we did have a player at game night that grabbed this thinking it was a bag of chips, which is understandable. I always make chips available to my friends, so there is a nice selection there, and I like chips, what can I say? But this was just the first time that I had to make sure that a player in my game night didn't eat a game. So, what you find in the container is a bunch of tokens representing chips, and after you dump all the contents of the container, you put the chips back in there, so the container is also used as a draw bag. Then you have a deck of cards, which is really the heart of the game. You have 4 player rates here that you place in that order, and they're really good player rates because they identify the different phases of a round, and we have reward tokens. Each round, again, has 4 phases. At the end of each phase, players score, and then different players, based on the number of players, will earn reward tokens. First player to collect 4 reward tokens wins the game. Pretty simple. The idea is that each player starts a round with a hand of 6 cards, and then you start the round also by drawing 5 chips and placing them here on that player right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's good enough. That's good that way. So these player rates tell you how many chips you're gonna draw in each phase of the game. In this case, for example, we got 5 there. And then what to do next? So each player looks at their hand of 6 cards and discards 2. The idea is that this is a set collection. In set collection games, usually there is a fixed condition that you're trying to meet, and then everybody has their own personal set of tokens. This game turns the script upside down because there's a shared number of tokens, and what changes is the conditions that you're trying to score. And again, the more chips come out, the more of these cards representing scoring conditions you discard, narrowing down your 6 cards to 3. And suppose that after I see that, I decide that I want to discard this one and this one. I have no idea if that makes any sense. I'm doing things kind of randomly to show you how it works. So after everybody has done that, we draw 4 more chips from the bag. 1, 2, 3, 4, and place them on the second display. After that, everybody discards 1 card. Oh, it really makes sense for me to discard that one, I think. Then we draw 3 more chips, and now there is another decision that we need to make there. And again, it's indicated pretty well by those icons, which means, remember at this point I'm down to 3 cards. I need to set them up. So I'm gonna take any of the cards that I discarded previously, and I place it in front of me, and the back now is used as a player rate. Basically, the 3 remaining cards, I will place 1 on the left facing the minus, and then 2 on the right. That indicates that this card, once it is revealed at the end of the round, if it scores negatively. So you really probably shouldn't have placed that card there, unless I was sure it was not going to score. And these cards score positively. So it's totally possible that you score the one that's in the negative, you don't score this once you go in the negative for that score. So that's an interesting idea because you want usually to keep a stinker in your hand. You want to keep a card that will not score or will score and will score like a really ridiculously low number of points. So maybe you lose 1, but you score 100, so that doesn't make a big deal. And after everybody has set up their 3 scoring cards, we can be revealed at that point because there's no interaction that can do anything. We draw 2 more chips, and this time, instead of just dumping them, we need to draw them in a specific order because there are effects that are sometimes tied to the last chip being drawn. Once all is said and done, we are going to score. For example, this card scores if there is an equal number of purple and yellow chips. There isn't. It's 2 purple and 4 yellow. So that's good. That's exactly what I wanted because I don't want to score 100 negatively. This one scores if there are more red than green, and I think I scored that one. Look at that. And this one, there are more orange than purple. Nah, doesn't look like I scored that one because it's 2 and 2. So I scored 50 points. Not bad, not bad. Which is more than I scored a lot of other times that actually I paid attention to what I was doing. Maybe I should play randomly just like this. And so that also gives you a sense of some of the things to score. Like if no chips of that kind are present at the end of the game, if this setup, if this like 2 purple and 2 red or more, so at least 2 and 2 of these kinds are available, again, equal number. For each orange, 22 points, that's pretty huge. And so on and so forth. The icons are pretty self-explanatory. And these multipliers cards are really, really sweet. So after everybody determines their score, the scores are announced, the players will receive reward points for being the first and possibly the second, depending on number of players. And again, you repeat, then you shuffle all the cards, give each player another hand of 6, place all the chips back in the bag, give it a good shuffle, and you continue until a player has collected 4 rewards. And that is the end of the game because the player is the winner. So that's how you play Bag of Chips. There's been a pretty strong consensus about this game, which is, well, it's a filler. It's a filler. You can play it in 5 minutes, 10 minutes. What is also good, you can teach it as you play it. You really just put out those 4 player 8s. You give people a hand of 6 cards, say, okay, look, those are the things that you're trying to score. Now you discard 2, then you'll discard 1, then we're gonna form that set. So you can literally teach it as you play it. And if you play games before, these icons, what the cards do is pretty self-explanatory. There's maybe one, like if the last one is a certain card that you have to explain it. But the game is so simple, and it really, in a sense, captures the essence of a filler, which, again, sometimes these days we ask for a filler to be more than they can be, or that they should be. We hope that a filler is so addictive we'll play it all night. And sometimes it happens. This one, no. It's a pure filler. 2 friends showed up to play the big Euro that you have set up, and 2 haven't showed up yet, so you're waiting for them. You play Bag of Chips for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then the other friends show up, and then you play the other thing. This is not going to be the main course of the night. It's going to be a snack, and maybe there is a meta element there. There's Bag of Chips instead of something else. Because, again, it probably shouldn't be your main course. You know, eat something else also. Mix it with the chips. Although chips are so good. So, it's a simple filler. It's entertaining for what it is. The consensus is that there isn't much of a game here, but that not much of a game is entertaining for 5 minutes. I know it's a small endorsement, but it's, again, an endorsement of a very simple, very light filler. I think, again, for super casual players. One suspicion is that, we don't know, it's a push-your-luck game. You can choose to keep a card that may score a lot at the end, but also usually if you just keep big numbers in your hand, it's a better idea, unless, again, all 3 will score, and then you really don't want 3 scoring cards. But usually just keeping big numbers is better than keep the low ones, because if you score a 5, even if you score it, somebody else is scoring a 50. Not a great idea. So even in the field of simple push-your-luck games, there are some other ones that have a little more strategy. You know, classic like zombie dice, or tactics maybe is the better word. This one, you know, keep the big numbers, see what happens, and, you know, in 5 minutes the game will be over, and then you play something else. Again, not much of a game here, and the suspicion remains that maybe acting randomly, again, those decisions are so simple that maybe just always saving your largest cards or acting randomly may just pay off as much as trying to use your strategy and planning and, you know, putting a lot of thinking into it. Probably putting too much thought into this one would be a mistake. Very light, very simple filler as a filler to play from time to time and maybe to laugh at some weird things that happen, some weird combinations, some crazy scoring. It's perfectly fine as a filler to set up, teach, and play in 5 minutes. or 10 minute stops. As a filler deck guy, this is a perfectly viable one.